What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic night so far. We're here with some very special guests. We got Kane Kev, Kane's Corner. Kev, where can the good people find you?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Y'all know me on Twitter as Kane Kev. I used to do the Kane Cast podcast back in the day. On Twitter, my handle is Smith31Kev. Shoot me a follow, and we can talk some Canes.
Gotta love it, man. And we also have Kane's Corner. Where can the good people find you, Kane's Corner?
What's up, y'all? You can find me on Kane's Corner on either Instagram or Twitter.
Gotta love it, man. So let's get straight to the point. All right. Seriously, I'm fired up about this show. Ross is fired up. We got some diehard Miami Hurricanes fans. We already have 33 people live in the chat, 2 minutes in. So let's get into it, guys. I'm going to start with Kev. Before we started this season, I know I had you on for the spring game. We were very optimistic. Jake Garcia looked like a future Heisman Trophy winner. Tyler Van Dyke looked amazing.
Oh, man,
We were
those were the
fine.
days.
Everything was looking upward. Derek King was our star quarterback, the face of college football. Did you expect that we are in this situation present day where the heavy majority believe Manny Diaz should not be our head coach?
No, I did not expect it at all. And as if you could tell, I'm on my third glass of wine. I wanted to make sure I came prepared for tonight. So, I mean, it's like one of those things where you came into this year, you thought this is where we turn the corner. You know, like you go 8-3. You know, you had the terrible game against North Carolina. You know, you kind of ride off the bowl game a little bit because Derek got hurt. Okay, we move on. You got probably one of the most experienced teams in the country. And then we hear all this about this experienced offensive line. Oh, my God, our offensive line is going to be the best it's been, since the early 2000s. All this crazy stuff is being said. Nothing happens. You get blown out by Alabama. We all kind of let it go again. And then you see what happens against App State, show up lackluster as usual. And then Michigan State, it's like, all right, we'll show up here. Doesn't show up again. They always say the team is a representation of who the leader is. And I always say it's just soft. It's absolutely soft as tissue paper. And you saw it in the last, and we'll talk about it later if you want, last 2 minutes of the freaking Virginia game, man. I sat in that stadium and I turned to my buddy and I said, there is a 0% chance he makes this kick. And he said, what are you talking about? It's only a 32-yard. I said, I've watched Miami Hurricanes football for 20 years, and I can tell you he's going to miss this kick. And the guy in front of me goes, oh, no, there's no way. He's going to make this kick. I'm like, just watch. Watch what's about to happen. You play soft, you're going to lose. And he goes, and I didn't even watch it. I turned around. I was like, you ready to go? You about to see what happens? And all of it, on the back of my mind, I hear doink. And everyone goes, oh, and then my buddy just turns to me and laughs. And I told you, let's leave. And, it's what's been the Miami Hurricanes the last 15 years. Terrible leadership, soft, don't play to win. They don't show up. And it's sad to see. But no one saw this coming. In the national media, fans, no one saw this coming. And I think it comes down to also Derek King was never right. Derek King was never healthy. Yep. They lied to us completely. That young man was never healthy. He got rushed back, and I honestly think we would be in better shape if we had started TBD to start the year. That's just me.
And that's the thing I don't get. Why rush him in to the Alabama game? You're not going to win the football game. You don't have the personnel to compete all 4 quarters. It's not rocket science. Why rush him into that game? Get him ready for App State, Michigan State, and the rest of the season. Now look at the situation you're in. We're 2-3. We could be even what is it? 1-4. I mean, the program is literally at an all-time low. Manny Diaz has lost the fan base, has lost the alumni. It's basically up to the board of trustees now. He loses to UNC, which is the expectation. I think he's gone. Kane's Corner. What do you think about all this mess going on right now? Did you ever predict or see this could happen to Manny Diaz in a year where he's supposed to win the ACC Coastal?
I mean, not really, no. Before the year, I said anything below 9-3 would be like a massive failure with what we brought back. And, I mean, we already have 3 losses 5 weeks into the year, before the bye week. So I definitely wasn't expecting it. But, Manny, the chances of him riding this ship right now are, very slim. if he makes it past the UNC game, like personally, I think that like that's a big mistake by the university, even though they probably don't care anyways. But like he's lost the team, and honestly, like this team is probably playing the worst football that we've seen Miami play, since like the mid '90s, like early '80s, late '70s. They're pretty much in the bottom, fourth in pretty much every major statistical category. So, this team's unprepared, and really like it's a reflection of their coaching. And obviously, they have more talent than what's been on display, and all that just reflects the coaching, and goes back to the coaching and what's going on up top.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with everything you said. And I think, Norman, thank you so much for the $10 donation. Greatly appreciate it. Kind of caters to that. Would it be a surprise if Manny Diaz made the call to waste 2 downs to go for the field goal versus UVA? Not me. He took the playbook out of Lashley's hands. I'm curious about this. We'll start with you, Ross. What did you think about that whole, just running it up the middle, basically wasting time, gambling on your freshman kicker? Did you like that call, putting all the pressure on him? I mean, he is a freshman. It is a 33-yarder. It's down the middle. I was in back of the goalpost watching it. It's only 33 yards. What do you think about that?
Nah, man, I go for the throat, bro. I go for the throat. This is football. This game needs to be played in some type of a physical or dominant fashion if you want to actually be a real winner. And I don't see teams skating by just by hoping and begging that their true freshman kicker is going to save their ass every week versus a mediocre team. I was very disappointed to see that we took our foot off the gas. And what really disappointed me was to see how bluntly obvious the opportunities were. Had we done a fake handoff up the middle and pitch it to the outside, that was going to the house for 7, guys. I promise you, it was going to the house for 7. So to have Lashley even see that, to have Diaz see that, and still decide to take the cowardly route, just kind of speaks to the essence of Manny Diaz, honestly. He's a big talker, and he's a big freaking coward.
I agree.
I want to say something real quick about that whole situation. I wasn't so much angry with what he did. It was honestly the first 2 plays, okay, you run it up the gut. Okay. I get it a little bit. All right. It was the 3rd down that just put me over the edge. He had Tyler Van Dyke, and I don't know if he told him to do this or he did it on his own. He told him to go pretty much 3 yards backwards and make a 30-yard field goal, a 33-yard field goal. And anything in college football, if you're moving a ball back 1 yard, 2 yards, anything in a field goal, that's absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous. You might as well just took a kneel back. It was barely off the center. If he can't make it a little bit off to the right, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be a college kicker at 30 yards. My thing is he took 3 yards backwards, and then what do you lose by? You lose by 6 inches? I mean, if you keep the ball where it's at, if you do the same thing on 3rd down, run it up the middle and don't lose yards or don't lose anything, you win the game. So my thing is like, I don't know if TBD did it on his own or that was the plan, but moving a ball back 3 yards and you have a freshman kicker is probably one of the most incompetent things I've ever seen. Like, it's just not even so much going for the field goal, not going for the field goal. It's how you went about doing it. All you had to do is run another ball up the middle. Maybe you get 2 yards. Then it's a 28-yard field goal. But, like, the fact that you blatantly went back 2 to 3 yards and made it harder on your kicker, that is where I struggle with that.
Yeah, I kind of think it's harder to hit the field goal post than it is to miss it. That's like really, it's pretty thin. It's pretty hard to hit a field goal post, in my opinion. So, I mean, that's a great point, Kevin. He did.
And you know what's funny too is since they went more to the center, more to the left, if they had kept the ball where it was at and the way he kicked the ball wouldn't have went through. Like it's just it's a microcosm of Miami Hurricane football for 15 years. Like overthinking, trying to do the right thing, moving the ball to the middle. But if you kept the ball where it's at, the way he kicked the ball would have went through. It's just it's funny almost. It's like we're cursed.
Overthinking, but overthinking with idiots in charge.
Yeah.
All right. Alex Perez, $10 donation. Greatly appreciate it, man. We got UNC coming up after this week, guys. A lot of people, including myself, don't think we're going to get the win out of Chapel Hill. He says Mac Brown will beat the crap out of Manny again and win 55-17. That's the final score for sure. And after, I don't think Manny has a job. I put on Twitter, I think Mac Brown's going to fire Manny a second time. I will stand by that statement. I believe it. Kane's Corner. What do you think about UNC and the rest of the ACC on the way? Does Manny survive this mess?
Probably not, honestly. I mean, look, let's go through the next 4 games. So North Carolina, they have his number. What's after that? Is that North Carolina State?
Yes.
Ranked, just beat Clemson. I believe Pitt is after that on the road. Another, borderline top 25 team with one of the better quarterbacks in the country. I mean, just those 3 games alone, he's like, there's a pretty good chance he goes 0-3. And, if he's still here after being 2-5, 2-6, kind of just tells you, that the school really doesn't have that much of a sense of urgency with football, or that much of they don't care that much, honestly, because, that's not the Miami standard. And, Manny Diaz certainly shouldn't be here if the Canes start 2-6, starting off in the top 15 at the beginning of the year.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. And, that Pitt game, man, I'm pulling for Kenny Pickett to win the Heisman. All right. The guy has 19 TDs, 1 interception, 1,700 passing yards. Who would have thought? People had De'Ara King on the Heisman short list.
He's played no one, though, man.
I know. I'm pulling for him. I know. He hasn't played anyone, but still, I mean, it's a nice underdog story because now it's just Alabama and everyone else, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Ross, I mean, what do you think about this game? Armando Alvarez, another $5 donation. Thank you so much. Even he says Mac Brown is going to fire Manolito Diaz once more next week. That being said, the university needs to fire Blake and Jen Strawley. They are trash. I mean, do you think we even get through UNC? And do you think we are seeing the end of Manny Diaz?
I think UNC beats the shit out of us, honestly. I think they absolutely beat the shit out of us. And I think that Mac Brown will do it with a smile on his face because he knows what it really means. He knows that's the guy he ditched at Texas. He knows that's the guy that he just dominated last year. And if he can make it so Manny Diaz has such a poor performance that we're forced into firing him after that game, Mac Brown will be one of the happiest dudes in the United States of America for a week, 2 weeks straight. You won't be able to get a smile off that guy's face. He will love knowing he ditched Manny Diaz. I don't think we have much of a chance in this game with the way they operate their team, with the way they run their offense, especially with our lack of talent on the outside and how Mac Brown was able to easily expose us on the outside in the run game. I think he's going to go right back to it. And it's a simple format. It worked. His guys did their job. Our guys didn't. We're not going to get a whole lot of creativity out of him if we don't need to. We got to force creativity out of him. If not, counter runs, stuff like that, off the tackle stuff, that's what we'll pretty much see again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, our secondary had wide receivers wide open against App State, Michigan State. They have a very good wide receiver by the name of Downs, and their quarterback will play in the NFL next year, Sam Howell. I think they're really going to put up a lot of points. UNC is a very inconsistent football team offensively. They did lose to Florida State the past season. They lost to Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. So their offense sometimes comes out flat. But knowing Miami's defense, everyone's offense plays very well. Ty Chandler, I like him a lot. He's not a bad running back. So I really think this is going to be a high-scoring game for UNC on their hand. Miami never plays well in Chapel Hill or blows the UNC out. So I think it's going to be UNC is going to dominate this football game. All right, so we have an interesting donation.
I have a little bit of a differing perspective. I just want to say real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we have a chance to win this game. And hear me out. And
with a freshman quarterback.
Hear me out. I think this is Manny's last ditch effort. And if we've been around college football and watching college football, you know that I think the kids legitimately like Manny. I think they like Manny as a person. I think they, and if they know that he is on the chopping block, I think we have talent on this team. I think they will come out and play hard for him. And say what you want about after a bye, whatever. They do have 17 days to prepare for this game. They should look somewhat prepared. And I say somewhat please, because I know they're not going to be fully prepared. But I think that and the fact that they were embarrassed last year, I think these kids are going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I think we still lose, but I think it's a closer game than people think. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to find that NC State game, or I think especially that Pitt game, is going to be that over the top, lose by 30 type of game because they're going to be 2-4, whatever, 3-4, whatever you want to say. And they're going to go to Pitt and get blown out by 40. And that's going to be the game that we say, all right, it's done. I think they're going to come out and play hard for them next weekend. That's just me.
What would be your score prediction for that game?
I think you keep it close in the first half. And because you got to remember, I mean, North Carolina is not North Carolina of last year. They're just not. They don't have those running backs that were there last year. You can say what you want about our run defense. They don't have those running backs that they had last year. They're two guys in the NFL playing a lot right now. They're good running backs. Their one really only good receiver is Downs, and he's been having the dropsies lately, so I wouldn't be surprised. They don't have this. They're not the same team. So I think we keep it close in the first half, and we lose by like 10.
Okay. So you still think we lose?
I still think we lose.
Okay. I thought you
No.
I thought you said we were going to win.
I just don't think it's going to be the debacle a lot of people think it's going to be.
Okay, fair. All right, that'll be interesting.
That's just me.
So this is an interesting topic. I'm going to go because actually I think Kevin brought this up on Twitter today, but I'm going to go around. We'll get to Kevin last. Wonky asked, thank you for the $5 donation, by the way. Greatly appreciate it. What do you guys think of Tom Herman as head coach option? Top 3 recruiting classes in Texas, conference championship in Houston and Texas, no buyout, and was 5-0 in bowl games. Kane's Corner. Do you like Tom Herman as a potential candidate? Keep in mind he's an offensive analyst for the Chicago Bears right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he'd be if they were going to hire him, I think he'd be a good hire. I mean, if you look at what he did with Texas, his last season was 7-3, and really that's been Miami's best season in the last 4 or 5 years now. So I do think that I wouldn't say Texas jumped the gun on firing him. Like obviously he didn't do what they wanted him to do. But I definitely think Tom Herman could be a guy that could potentially change the culture of the program and, definitely change the offensive side of the ball that's, been lacking for the last 4 or 5 years since, the beginning of the Richt era. And he's kind of like a proven winner. He won at Houston. He's 5-0 in the bowl games. He made the Big 12 championship at Texas. I think he would be a good hire. He'd definitely be one of the better head coaches that, the program has had in the last, 20, 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, he has a consistent track record. He has a much better resume than Manny Diaz. If you take Jimmy Johnson's record at Oklahoma State, a lot of people probably wouldn't want him either. If you take Erickson's record at Washington State, I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't want him either. So you got to take chances. Maybe he's learned from Texas, but 5-0 in bowl games, I know that's something Miami needs to address. So maybe Tom Herman isn't a bad pickup. Ross, what do you think about Tom Herman? I know there's someone in mind you want, but maybe you can talk about Herman and then your guy.
I mean, Herman, he's got the experience, so that's something I'm always going to be intrigued about. The 5-0 in the bowl game, it stands out to me, and it just stands out for a fact that a guy's putting his teams out there to have success when the spotlight and the big lights are really on them. At the end of the season, when there's no game left, nothing to play for after that, everybody putting it on the field, both teams putting it on the line basically to close their seasons out. He has found a way to win all of those games as a head coach. And I want to say just in general here, he's 49-22 as a head coach overall. So, that shows that, yes, he might have had some bumps and bruises, but it clearly shows that there's been success along the way as well, no doubt about it. I would have no problem making a move like that. My thing is especially with Blake James in charge, I don't trust that move to be made.
Yeah, I know. It's the guy who hired Manny Diaz we're very nervous about. Kev, what do you think about Tom Herman?
Yeah, so when I posted that earlier on Twitter, I got like a lot of mixed reviews. And I want to preface this by Tom's not even in my top 5. And I'm sure you're going to talk about that later in the show. I just think Tom is being overlooked because Texas is a tough job, man. It's a tough job. You think Miami's a tough job? Texas has boosters. They have millions and millions of dollars injected in their program. If you're not winning national championships within like 3 to 4 years, like you don't need to be there in their mind, which is what we want for our program, right? That's what we want. But I mean, we're not there. My thing is, I think Miami Hurricane fan base needs to lower their expectations a little bit, because if you look at what Tom Herman's done, would we be happy with that right now? I mean, would you guys be happy with a Sugar Bowl win over Georgia and Kirby Smart? You know, I mean, he beat Jimbo in the Peach Bowl with Houston. I mean, me as a fan of what's happened in the last 15 years, if you told me, hey, this is the guy you've gotten for the last 6, 7 years, he's won a couple New Year's Six bowl games, he's kept you relevant, you've been in the top 25 constantly, you've had big games, he's won big games. Yeah, he's had his problems, but like you said, Ross, you know, he took his lumps. You know, every coach has taken their lumps. Every coach before they become great has probably gotten fired somewhere, i.e. Nick Saban, like Bill Belichick. Like, that's what happens. I'm not trying to say that that's the same thing with Tom Herman. I'm just saying I wouldn't be mad if they went and got Tom Herman. I think our expectations need to be lowered a little bit. We need to get back to competency. That's what we need to get back to. Winning the games that we need to win. I've always said that. Give me a guy that can win 10 games right now, 9, 10 games every year, and keep us in the top 15 and win bowl games. And you can keep doing that for 4 or 5 years. The recruits are going to come. They're going to start building rapport. They're going to build up the program from the bottom. And then that's how you win national championships. It's not going to be hey, let's hire Mario, and then in year 2, you're going to win a national championship. That's not how it works. Especially in the world of Bama and Georgia and all these big-ass programs. So, yes, I would be fine with Tom Herman. But, yes, he's not in my top 5.
I completely agree. You know, you need to create a base, recruiting classes. It's not a 1-year fix. We don't have the recruits for that, the personnel. This is a complete makeover for the Miami Hurricanes football program. This isn't a Larry Coker situation, right? So we'll find out what happens, and we'll get into more potential head coaching candidates. Greg Bush with a $10 donation. Greatly appreciate it. Greg, I feel a total blowout by UNC is the only thing that will get Manny fired. A close loss will keep Manny a head coach. Hate to say it, but I think that's true. Hey, I agree. I don't know why he's still head coach right now, to be honest. I don't know what they're waiting for. If 7-5 cuts it this year for Manny and he stays on another year, I think they're going to lose a lot of season ticket holders, honestly. I think the fan base is done. The alumni base is done as well. And it's really up to the board of trustees to make the final pull. Any other program would have Manny Diaz fired by now. Does anyone think Manny can turn the corner? Or this is it? Everyone is expecting there's going to be a new head coach, a coaching search this offseason.
Yep.
Everyone agrees.
Yep.
I posted a dumbass tweet. I just want to say, and I'm sorry, I apologize. I posted a dumbass tweet before the Virginia game saying that, like, when I'm banned, it's backed up against a wall. Sometimes he, finds himself. And then we lost to Virginia, so that happened. So I apologize to everyone on Twitter that had to read that tweet. And if it gave you hope, I'm sorry as well.
When Manny Diaz has his back against the wall, that's when you really see him tuck his tail between his legs. That's when the real coward comes out. It doesn't put a chip on the shoulder mentality. It doesn't make him even more hungry for wins or more hungry to prove people wrong. No, he just tucks his tail between his legs and he goes and scampers off and does whatever the hell he does on the sidelines.
Chug Mo Beer, thank you for the $5 donation. Greatly appreciate it. The administration doesn't care about Miami sports in general. These people will not make the changes needed. I hope I'm wrong. Canes for life. So, guys, thank you again, Jug Mo Beer, for the donation. I think you are right. There was a fight today in practice. It seemed like, from my understanding, the coaches were being attacked. There was a defensive assistant. It was ugly. Right? Some people said this is normal, but Miami's in a state where they're going to lose members of their coaching staff. They're losing football games. Players are frustrated and they're tired of it. They're tired of the BS. And I'm sure this has been going on for since past week. Maybe the loss after UVA was the final straw. Kane's Corner, do you think this is, what do you make out of the whole fight? Do you think you're seeing the end of Manny Diaz, or is just another day in a college football team practice?
I think it could be a little of both, honestly. because fights they do happen, especially like at football practices, at football games and stuff like that. But I do think it's kind of an indicator that Manny Diaz might have lost, the guys a little more than we think they have. Um, I do like. There's another way to look at it as well. You can kind of look at it as some of the guys are trying to turn this thing around. They're very passionate and stuff like that. But I mean, we have never heard of a fight coming out of a practice at Miami since Manny Diaz has been there. So I do think that's kind of indicates what the guys think about Manny Diaz, and maybe what this fight really kind of like was about in terms of like their frustration and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, there was a players only meeting according to Tory, and some players didn't even attend. So that's interesting. Ross, what do you think about this whole fight in practice?
I mean, it's at a very interesting time, honestly, in the midst of all of this. It was not exactly something I wanted to hear, but Kane's Corner, I think, spoke really well on it. I think it kind of hits the nail on the head that the players are kind of sensing that there's issues going on as well. When there's issues not just in the coaching staff, there's issues on the roster as well. The rumblings and the rumors and all that stuff start brewing. These guys hear all that stuff. It affects them. So if they're out there and they don't really even know what they're playing for anymore, honestly, because when you're going to lose your head coach, you truly don't know what the hell you're playing for anymore. These guys are kind of lost right now. And that's where this fight could have came from, I think. I don't know if it's necessarily I hate you, we're going to fight it out. It's been beef for a while. I think a lot of these guys are confused. I think a lot of them are lost. And I think a lot of them are worried about the future, specifically their own futures in football. I really do.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. A lot of these players came here as 5-star recruits, highly touted transfers, and, maybe things aren't clicking offensively. They're not getting a lot of playing time. Their draft status is slowly tanking, and they're not developing properly. Kev, what do you think?
One thing I want to know is, did anyone land punches? Because we know they can't tackle. So
I think they went at it. I think they went at it.
Was there any punt? No. All jokes aside, honestly, from at least what Barry wrote, that's all I really can go off of. It looks like it was veteran guys. Everyone's saying that it's younger guys against veteran guys. I think what's happening is you're seeing the pressure not only of Manny, the season, the younger guys starting to kind of creep up. I think Gerben Hall was in that mix. He's been kind of getting taken off the field a little bit for the younger guys. I think what happened is one guy was loafing, one guy wasn't doing his job, doing his sprints. They had to run more sprints. Someone said something to someone, probably like, this is why we've been effing losing or whatever, yada, yada, yada. And then things were said and it kind of just went off. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's anything crazy per se. I don't think it's like Manny losing the locker room. I think it's more so just like the pressure of the year. And like Ross said, everyone sees everything. These kids are on Twitter. These kids saw my tweet probably that I got banned of for 12 hours wishing explosive diarrhea on Manny Diaz and Blake James. And yeah, I got banned for that. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. But they see all that stuff. So they feel the pressure of, I need to win because this is the guy that recruited me. I've been around this guy for a long time. I don't want him to lose his job. I know his family. I truly think these kids like Manny. I mean, you say what you want about him being a head coach and how he knows how to coach. I think these kids truly like Manny as a person. So you got to imagine that weighs on them and thinking like, am I playing a hand in having this guy that I like getting fired? And at the end of the day, if you see a guy loafing on sprints and you're losing, that's in these 95-degree heat, it's only bound to have a big fight. Now, if you say that coaches got involved and they're trying to fight coaches, that's a whole other thing. I know you talked about that with me earlier, but I don't think it's anything more than just kids fighting.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are halfway done with the show. Run through the donations real quick. Mullet Run, $10 donation. Thank you so much. Run the ball, stop the run, win the kicking game. Gotta love it. That sounds like Big Ten style football. Thank you again for the donation. Mullet Run.
Only.
Alex Perez, $5 donation. The fan base is so done. We booed Blake James while they were honoring Howard Schnellenberger. And in my section, at least the Fire Manny chants were strong. Hey, I think the fan base is done. Thank you again, Alex, for another $5 donation. Armando Alvarez, $5 donation. Thank you so much. The administration, led by Blake James and Jen Strawley, are only focused on supporting woke movement in our athletic program. Terrible. All right, Armando, thank you so much for the $5 donation. All right, guys, so we are halfway through the show. I've been asked several times, if we fire a head coach, is it okay that we lose our recruiting class, or where do we stand in recruiting if we do fire a head coach who jumps ship? Ross, you cover recruiting highly. You speak to a lot of recruits. What happens if you think we lose the Manny Diaz? What happens to the class, which is ranked 44th in the nation?
I'll tell you, the one thing that will happen is if we keep losing, that will guarantee we lose those kids. I can promise you that much. Losing Manny Diaz specifically, yes, there's going to be some type of attrition. It's just the way it is. You're not going to get all the kids that were, giving their commitment or honor to play to Miami for a coach who simply won't be there anymore. I think that there's a way we could do this to where we don't take a humongous hit, but it's about retaining the right guys. It's about retaining guys like T-Rob. It's about retaining guys like Fields, and it's about retaining guys like Hickson. Then you've got DVD and Cooney as well. I think that if we have a handful of guys we can retain, don't get me wrong, if we want to just purge this thing and blow it all up, it is what it is. I'm okay with that too. It's just that's not the route I truly see us take, because it's not a route we take. We always go back to our guys. They always reference, our guys are our strength at the University of Miami. So it makes me think some of these guys will be retained. But if those were the ones retained, I wouldn't be as upset. But, Garen Justice, Lashley, those guys, we have to have a whole new mindset on the offensive line and a whole new mindset on offense in general.
Kane's Corner, what do you think?
No, yeah, definitely. I mean, we only have, 9 commits right now. Public commits, give or take 1 or 2. If this thing's blown up, I really don't expect, much of any of this class to kind of stick. I think really actually like moving on from Manny relatively quickly can actually help this class, be able to, I don't know, like if you wait last minute to fire Manny, like, I don't know, that's kind of a bad look. That's, just before National Signing Day in December, which is, only 2 months away now. So, it's right around then. And also I think for transfers, like if you were to get rid of Manny now, I definitely think that would, and get the next guy in, I definitely think that would help be able to bring in some more transfers that, obviously we're going to lose some, but if, we get that new coach in quicker, we'll be able to get in some new transfers to the 25. And then, the NCAA is passing the new rule that you can add 7 new transfers if you lose 7 transfers or whatever to the additional 25. So I definitely think if they get in that, the new head coach soon enough, that they can get enough guys to, help the roster for next year and, kind of just keep that, transfer portal, kind of thing going. Because really, if they wait last minute, this recruiting class isn't going to be that good. And I also think that they're going to lose a lot of guys without being able to bring in a lot of guys as well.
Hey, I think everything, like exactly what you said on, we're going to lose a lot of guys, and whoever the next head coach is going to have to utilize the transfer portal no matter what for a quick fix moving forward. That's going to be a part of college football. I think every coaching staff is going to start using it. Manny he used it, whatever, it worked. None of the players he recruited from high school worked out, which is sad besides of Rousseau. Kev, what do you think about this recruiting class? Is it a bust? It's over?
So I have a completely different perspective on this. And I posted a tweet earlier in saying that I want a nuclear explosion in the entire athletic department. I don't want a single coach retained. I don't want anyone here anymore. If you've been here, you've been a part of this culture, you've been a part of this. I don't care if you're the head coach, if you're the freaking equipment manager, the water boy, I need you gone. And you telling me if you bring in a guy like Mario, so don't give me like T-Rob's a good recruit, DVD's a good recruit. You don't think a guy like Mario can bring guys that can recruit Miami? My thing is like, if you can answer me this, what unit has looked better this year? Has the corners looked better? Has the secondary looked better? No. So why are we keeping T-Rob? Why are we keeping DVD? They're just as underachieving as every other coach. My thing is like, you need to just start fresh. AD gone, everyone gone, start over, be done with all of this. because it's a failed experiment. It's done is obviously not a cohesive, like, there's not a cohesive unit right there. You just need to start over. And if you bring in the right guy, he will bring his guys that will get the job done. That's my thing. And I don't think if you bring a guy like Mario, I don't think he's going to keep anyone from the staff. The only one I honestly think he would keep is like Fields. That's it. Just because he was his buddy in Oregon. I don't think he would keep anyone else. And I mean, I just think that this program needs such an overhaul that I don't really care to keep anyone, to be quite honest with you. And I don't think my thing is too with the transfer portal. If you lose all these guys, we're taking a small class anyways. It was going to be like 15, 16 guys. We took 2 big classes the last 2 times. Just go into the transfer portal and try to see what you can get and salvage the recruiting class with what you got. I just think you need to start over. That's it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, man. Start over, and this entire program needs a full evaluation. Before I kick it back to Ross, if you want Manny Diaz fired, if you want Lane Kiffin, Mario Cristobal, if you want Urban Meyer as head coach at Miami, hit the like button. All right, guys, it may never happen, but hit the like button. Please support us. Greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate our guests for coming on. And we have 140 people listening right now, so we appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. Ross, anything you want to add that you wanted to ask our great guests tonight? A question that we haven't touched up on yet?
Well, there's one thing that I wanted to add to the conversation that we just had, and you guys talking about wanting to get rid of all the staff, and I get that. Trust me, I get the mindset of that. But what I will say is, while T-Rob has not been the guy that we were hoping he was going to be while he's here, he's running Manny Diaz's secondary. Go watch his film. This is not T-Rob's secondary. This is not how he operates at all. This is the cowardly Manny Diaz secondary that he's trying to operate in. So you've got a supremely talented coach who's very confident having to put his guys basically on their heels and having to second guess things. It's not going to work right. Those two worlds don't mesh at all. So that's why I'm a little hesitant to say that T-Rob has failed, because I've watched enough of this tape now to go, this is not T-Rob's secondary at all. And the development standpoint, even, I'm not even seeing that aspect of it anymore. So that's worrisome right there. Now, if it's enough to where, if it's enough to do the full purge, and we're going to do the full purge, then that's just the way we got to go. I mean, there's no point holding on to one guy or just 2 guys. If the full purge is coming, the full purge is going to happen. I just don't see Miami doing that, though. I just don't. That was the one thing I want to touch on before I moved on to the next one here. But for these guys, yeah, I do have a question for you guys. Would you guys like to start seeing us get rid of the linebacking core more and more on defense and going to, the 1 linebacker sets, 0 linebacker sets? Is that something you guys would like to see this season?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Would you like to see more defensive setups where there's only 1 linebacker utilized, or there's no linebackers utilized, as opposed to the linebacker sets we're seeing now?
First of all, I want to touch on, I preface with what I was saying before. If there were people I'd like to keep, I would keep T-Rob, DVD, and Jess Simpson. I'm not saying I would be mad if they were kept. I just think everything needs an overhaul. And to your next question, I think there's nothing wrong with what we're playing. I just don't think we have the guys to play with what we're playing. That's the thing. You have slow guys. They're slow. They can't play side to side. When Corey Flagg made that interception the other day, I was like floored. I didn't even know he can move like that. Like, I was literally like, did he really just jump a pass and intercept the ball? Like, if you want to play that style of football, you need to have guys that can move side to side. And you even didn't have that with Shaq Quarterman and Pinckney. They were on the slower side. They were, but they were instinctual and they were smart. They knew how to play the position. And you have guys that just, you got Steed, which I'm rooting for him because of all the injury issues, but he's just not it. He's not the guy that's going to move the needle. Corey Flagg, he's a freshman. He could develop. Who knows? His skills could develop. I don't know. Who knows? But I think the guys you're looking at are guys like Avery Huff, Sam Brooks. Those are the guys that need to be playing the positions that you want them to be playing in the style of defense that you're playing. And the problem is they say that they don't know the defense. They don't know the plays. They don't know this and that. But those are the guys you need to play. a guy like Wesley that we're trying to recruit. Those are the guys that play your defense. And the problem is they don't have the guys to put in this. I don't think the defense is the problem. It's the personnel.
And that's exactly why I asked it, Kev. I'm glad you clarified that, and I should have clarified that, and I'm glad you did, though. That's where I'm at with this. I'm asking this question sheerly based, or merely sheerly, however you want to put it, but based off of what we have currently to work with. Kane's Corner, what do you think, man? Would you like to see a little bit more experiment back there in that aspect? I
would, because honestly, I think, in whatever it is, 8, 9, 10 days, I think North Carolina is going to exploit our linebackers, especially I love Flagg personally. I think he's a good ball player, but I do think he's a little on the unathletic side and the slow side at times. And I think that he's going to be exploited a little bit, coming up in this upcoming game. I hope Keontra Smith is back. He showed some signs, but I mean, coming off a knee injury like that, that's not something we can kind of, bank off going forward, I think. I would like to see, Chase Smith, a very athletic, striker, outside linebacker kind of role. I would like to see him more on the field. I'd like to see James Williams a little bit more in the box and stuff like that. I think if they want to be more successful going forward, they do have to, get these more athletic guys, honestly, because even, Bradley Jennings, their backup middle linebacker, whatever, he's not the most athletic guy, and he's already he doesn't know his assignment half the time anyways. So why is he even in the game? You might as well just get the young athletic guys on the field. I think that's something that Manny Diaz could, look at going forward.
Yeah, Ross. I mean, I don't think we have the personnel to even play that kind of scheme, to be honest. Traditionally, Miami's always had two, pretty big ass outside linebackers. We've always had, very physical linebackers, and that's really deteriorated, in my opinion. This kind of scheme we're playing, we're basically giving up 5 yards in the run game. It's either we get to the quarterback, create a pressure, or we're basically screwed, because I mean that's why Trevor Lawrence really picked us apart. He has a quick release, and there's pockets in this defense. You get rid of the football, we're going to give up 5 yards every time in this defense, right? So you just do a quick 5-yard pass and they're gone. Make one guy miss and that's a 10-yard game. So running the 4-2-5, it's just not really like Kevin said. We have a lot of slow guys, and you got to be very fast as well. So like I said, we're not recruiting like the most elite athletes at the line.
Imagine Flagg trying to just be pretty much on an island by himself and covering one side of the field.
Do we have the guys though right now that could maybe be a little bit more successful playing the empty linebacker sets? Having James Williams out there roaming more. Chase, those guys. Do you think we could be more successful right away?
Chase Smith is the future of that guy is Isaiah Simmons 2.0, and I've been saying that since they recruited him. And it's like, that guy, I don't even care if he doesn't know the plays, just put him on the damn field. I'm telling you, that guy will hit someone. He is a physical specimen. He came out for 2 plays against the Virginia game, and I was at the game, and I literally spotted him each time, because when he's on the field, he is humongous. It's literally like, why is that guy not on the field? And then you see the same thing with Leonard Taylor. He flashes. It's like, that guy should be on the field every snap of the damn game. I don't care if he makes mistakes. That guy is athletic. He has the goods. Let him make mistakes, because you know what? He's going to make more plays than mistakes.
Well, one of the things that I want Canes fans just to think about is think about our linebacking core, and then think about the idea of having James Williams patrolling that kind of an area. Think about Chase Smith helping him patrol that kind of an area. What gets you more excited? And to me, it's letting those young guys with that size get out there and get some real snaps.
I think James Williams would be interesting at striker. That's just me.
All right. Pope's Podcast with a $10 donation. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. I do not believe Manny is going to get fired when the board of trustees are divided. I believe it is more about Blake James. After that blows up, then I think everything will fall into place with Manny clean house. So with that being said, thank you again, Pope's Podcast, for the $10 donation. Who do you guys want to see replace Manny Diaz? Because I don't think he's going to be the guy in a couple weeks. I think he's going to get fired. And I want to hear from you guys. I think the Canes fan base does as well. We'll start off with Canes Corner. couple names off the top of your head that you think would be a great fit at Miami. Realistic, of course.
Yeah, I think the obvious is Mario Cristobal. I don't think like he'll leave Oregon personally,
Yep.
but I do think he'd probably be the best fit for Miami. I also think that Mark Stoops, even though he also probably won't come back to Miami, I think he's a very good like potential hire. I think he's made Kentucky into a relatively consistent program again in the SEC, and I think he'd definitely be a good coach to help reset the culture and make this whole like football program tougher than what it is right now. I definitely think he'd be a good hire. Like what Kev said, I think Tom Herman would be a good hire. Urban Meyer isn't really realistic. I don't necessarily like when Canes fans like mention him. Like personally, I don't even think he'd be a good guy to have like come in for the culture. I think he's like almost like a culture killer. You kind of see it now with the Jags, like what he's done. I just don't think that's going to be a good fit. I don't necessarily have like a top 5 list. Like I have 2 or 3 guys, but I want like somebody that's going to come in and help change the culture and make this team tougher. I think that's what they need to look for. And, hopefully, the administration and the bot can, get that.
All right. Ross, who do you think?
I agree with Kane's Corner. I don't think Mario Cristobal is going to be heading to Miami, even though I have to say, is just from the jump, that's the name, that's the guy, but I agree with you there. I just don't think Miami, and especially Miami right now, I just don't think that's the way he's going to go. I will offer some different names here, and Stoops too. I mean, that's a guy that I think, well, I know some fans think he might not want to be at Miami. I think there still might be a realistic chance that we could get him. He's a name to at least be entertained. We got to at least do our due diligence. A lot of fans don't like, some of these jerks, some of these asshole coaches, but dude, you've seen it, man. I'm all in on Bill O'Brien. I'm all in on it, dude. Give me a coach that is going to yell and scream at Tom Brady for an interception on the sidelines during a perfect season. Give me that fire on the sidelines. If he wins a title at calling plays at Bama this year, it's only going to help him in the eyes of high school recruits. I'd be all for it, dude. Bring me a jerk that's going to come in and set shit straight.
Kev?
All right, so I'm going to go a little bit off both of the last lists or people because I'm going more realistic realm. I think Mario Cristobal is realistic, but it has to be the right fit. And what I mean by fit is you need to build the program around him that he feels comfortable coming back. And everyone knows that means Zoe or Gino Torretta taking over AD. He has full control over the program. He can bring everyone that he wants to bring. He has the money to spend. It comes down more than just like, do I want to come? Because I think if it was just, do you want to come or not come, he would want to come. But obviously, he's got a good program at Oregon. There's got to be a reason for him to leave. So that's my number 1 pick. But I think realistically, I think the 2 guys I like, actually 3, is I like Lane Kiffin. And I don't care what all y'all think. I think Lane is a perfect attitude. I don't care if he got blown out by 50, whatever the hell it was against Alabama. The fact that he said, get your popcorn ready, and he had that attitude, and he was just like swaggering around. And you know what? I like that he went for all those 4th downs because at least he has balls. Our coach won't even freaking go for a touchdown with 2 minutes left in the game against Virginia. At least he wants to try to make a game out of it. And, for me, I just think he fits. Now, I don't think the administration would go for it. Again, that's the problem. They want a clean guy. They want someone that's not going to raise flags. So I think that's where you struggle with Lane. I think Mark Stoops would be a fantastic hire. If you can win 10 games in the SEC with Kentucky, you can win at Miami in the Coastal. That's just me. The problem with him that I worry about is his offense. His offense is a snail's pace. He likes to kind of grind it out and win 17-13. That's his style of football. So that's what worries about me with him. My guy, and don't get mad at me because everyone wants a guy from the Power 5 and wants a guy that's got all this like notoriety. I like Chadworth from Coastal Carolina. And, I just think that guy, if you've done research into him, he's a hard-nosed guy. He's a hard ass. He's made Coastal Carolina into the new UCF. And that guy will put up 40, 50 against anyone. I don't care if it's Coastal Carolina. You give him a solid roster of players, that guy will go score 40 and 50 points. And that's the type of guy I want. And a lot of people think that, oh, well, he's in the group of 5. I don't want to make a risk. I don't want to take a risk again. Every coach is a risk. Mario's a risk. They're all risks. My thing is like, I just want a guy on here that's going to work hard, that kind of knows, what type of culture he wants to build. And so those are my 3 guys. I think you got to go Lane, realistically, Lane, Stoops, or the Chadworth from Coastal Carolina.
Yeah. I'm gonna say a realistic list. I think Billy Napier. I think he's coaching at Louisiana. I think that's a name that's reasonable. It's realistic. You should reach out to. People are gonna think I'm crazy with this one. Why not Kalani Sitake out of BYU? I think they're ranked currently in the top 10 right now. That is a weird transition going to a school like BYU to Miami. It could work out. Bill O'Brien is an offensive coordinator. He has a great resume. Penn State head coach when they were going through a complete mess, utter disgusting mess. I can go on a rant about that. I thought he went to the playoffs like every year with the Texans, so, he has an NFL head coaching record. Why not experience? Why not take a chance on Bill O'Brien? Dave Aranda is an intriguing name because, he's at Baylor, but if they fire Ed Orgeron, he'll probably get the job there. They'll look to hire him. If not, why not take a look at Dave Aranda? He's a much better defensive coordinator than Manny Diaz will ever dream of. Just got to hire a good OC and you'll be ready to go. And then, another name to keep an eye out for, I don't think Luke Fickell is interested in the Miami job. I think Cincinnati moving forward is in a better place. They're ranked like 6th in the nation.
They're about to go Power 5 too.
They're about to go Power 5, and I think he wants to stay in that area, and I think he wants the Ohio State job or Notre Dame. Could be wrong, but why not? You already recruited in that area. It's an easier transition going there, and that it's a real project here at Miami. Like, this is a legit rebuild. This is a tough job. Unless you're throwing money at someone, this is a really stressful job walking into it.
I want to ask you guys a question. Can I ask you guys a question? How would you guys feel? This is my out of the box type of guy. How would you feel about Brady from Carolina? OC.
I've thought about him personally, but I think he's going to be an NFL head coach within the next 2 or 3 years.
Because he's a Miami guy, so
I don't see him going backwards right now. His trajectory is just straight ahead currently.
Yeah, he's also really young, and if I'm his agent, I just tell him there's been 4 head coaches, one has retired because of this job. I'm just saying, I would literally his agent, I'm just saying, this is a very touchy job. The status of this job, I hope people realize this, has completely dropped. I can literally sell you not to take this job.
Yeah.
We've literally gone through worse than Tennessee, in my opinion.
Dude, but it's so annoying because it's the easiest job. It really is. You're in the worst division in college football. You have players in your backyard. It's the easiest freaking job. Just win 10 games. Go to the ACC championship game every year. Beat Clemson just beat on Wake Forest and Boston College. And it's not that hard. I just don't understand why it's taken us so long to find someone. It's frustrating, man. Sorry. Go ahead.
Any takers?
I was just going to say that I think there's a better chance that he's the Dolphins head coach, in 5 years, than the Miami head coach.
Interesting.
If we were going to try to make a big splash name and a big splash hire, it would have a lot, I think, to depend on what route his head coach is currently thinking about going. But, a guy like Venables is one of those guys that's, he's a proven guy on the defensive end. I don't think he'd choose Miami. I don't think he'd ever want to come here, especially if Dabo's still in the ACC. But it's something to where if Dabo was starting to get the itch to go coach somewhere else or something possibly in the future, at least what I do with Venables in the time being is at least try to develop a relationship so maybe something in the future could happen. That's just a big name for that. Why not? Just see if you can foster some kind of relationship you can build on. But I have my, and Paul knows this, I have my outlier kind of a suggestion here for head coach. This is my completely inexperienced head coach option if we do decide to go cheap. But I am more than happy to have defensive line coach from the Jags, Tosh Lupoy, take over this team and make us into a recruiting nightmare overnight. We would be instantly in the name for all the 5-star kids in the South, literally overnight. If you see what he's done at the places he's been at in college football, that's all he does, man. All he does is recruit top-notch players and put them in the NFL. That's it. I know he's not experienced, and I doubt we would really go that way, but as far as terms of hype and upside of a young guy, I would absolutely love it. And I'd also love to see, because I think this is a realistic chance too here, is that Jimmy Lake will get fired from the Huskies. Hell, bring Jimmy Lake over as his DC. I'd love it, dude.
Tosh Lupoy to the U. Start the hashtags going.
Pretty sure
happening.
Twitter would have an aneurysm. Everyone on Twitter would have, if that was.
I don't know
head
what Canes
coach.
fans want. I see them. They don't want Bill O'Brien. They don't want
flashy.
They don't want Mario.
They want
You
flashy.
don't want Urban Meyer. What do you want? Do you want like Don Shula? Like he passed away. Rest in
Find
peace.
me a Mel Tucker. Find me another Mel Tucker, a guy that can come in and change stuff overnight. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's got his team playing top-notch football with a ton of transfers. Find me a guy who can piece together a team on the fly and can make them competitive by simply being on the sidelines.
I agree. My thing is I want someone that is at development first. I'm so over this. Like when we got Randy Shannon, it was the same thing. Randy Shannon, oh my God, he's gonna get all these like amazing recruits. He got the #1 recruiting class in the nation, but the guy couldn't develop freaking Sean Taylor, like, or the best player in the world if he had the shot to. He actually did develop Sean Taylor, so that sounds stupid. But it's just I need a guy that's going to come in here and develop guys that maybe aren't the best recruits. You know, how about that? You know, like a Greg Rousseau. Give me like 7 Greg Rousseaus who were 3-stars, and you've turned them into first-round draft picks.
You can say T-Rob's done that though. Think about it. Or his last stops, he's done it before.
Yeah.
You know, he's made some guys successful. He did really well when he wasn't the DB coach at Florida, but he did a fantastic job helping them recruit while he was on the staff there.
All right, Ross, I don't want to get rid of T-Rob anymore, all right? Man, come on.
I just tossed in my 2 cents on it, bro.
You know, I will say this. You know, modern day college football, I think you got to take a look at a guy from the SEC. It's the most dominant conference by far.
Yeah.
And there's a history of success when coaches come from the SEC, places like Alabama and Georgia. I think you got to take a look from one of those programs. Yep. Dan Lanning, a lot of people have been mentioning his name. You know, maybe he's our Kirby Smart. I don't know. Kev said it best. Every head coach you hire is a risk. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens moving forward. But once again, I greatly appreciate Canes Corner and Kev for coming on for your time tonight. Canes Corner, where can the good people find you?
Canes Corner on Instagram and then Canes Corner _ on Twitter.
Kev?
On Twitter, Smith31Kev. I'm tweeting all the time. Shoot me a tweet. Let's talk some Canes.
All right. Appreciate it again, guys. Thank you to the 170 people joining us live. And always, all about the U. Go Canes.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.